Hey, this is Josh Patrick, and you're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. And my guest today is Anne Beaulieu. Probably massacred that. And she told me the name of her company, and I just forgot it again, which is really a terrible thing for me to do. But at any rate, you can find Anne at Financial EQ Coach. And we're going to start our conversation off today about what financial EQ might be. So let's bring Anne on. Hey, Anne, how are you today?
Hi, Josh. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So tell me, what is Financial EQ Coach?
So the website, it's financialeq.coach. The dot coach is one of the new it's like the .com. So financial EQ, what it is, it's way more than just financial literacy. People think that financial emotional intelligence, it's only about understanding about how a checking account works, how compound interest rate works, how to do our asset allocation for our portfolio for retirement and things like that. But it's much more than that. It's about how we feel about money. It's about why we feel that way. It's all our money beliefs, how they come into play, and how they impact, how our feelings and emotions impact our money decisions.
Okay, that sounds like behavioral economics, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm a finance economist too. So it is sort of behavioral economics. It sees things as a whole, as a society, as a group of people. But we all make individually, all decisions that we make them emotionally first. So what might feel right money-wise for one person does not feel right for another person. So it's important that we know where our money beliefs come from, why we feel that way. Most importantly, it's crucial. Otherwise, our money beliefs are going to run the show because we're going to validate what we know. And what we know might not be what's in our best interest in that moment when it comes to money.
Well, I mean, there's always this fight with the economists. Most economists believe that in the concept of homo economist, meaning that we are rational actors when it comes to money. And anybody who's worked with anybody in financial planning for more than 5 minutes knows that's not true.
That
So, what does your stuff do for the investor, and how does it work, or the business owner, more importantly, because we're talking about blue collar businesses here.
yeah.
And more importantly, what does this mean for a business owner, and why should they care?
They should care because I'll give you an example. Otherwise, it's all theory. I had this client yesterday, and it's a brand new business. And I asked that client, what's your strategic goal? Like, how much money would you like to make in 1 year with that business? So they looked at me like a deer in headlight, and I could feel them retreating in their seat. And then they were like, so they said a number. But that number, they couldn't own it emotionally. And I said, if you had to say another number, much bigger, what would it be? So they said another number. It was 6 figures and multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. I said, okay, what prevented you from saying that number, from owning it emotionally? Because everybody say, I want more money. I want more money. I want to make more money. But emotionally, they have a wealth threshold where they block it. So I brought the client there emotionally to feel that blockage within them, what it was about. And they got very, very somber. And they were like, because then my life, if I make that amount of money, then my life will change. People will view me differently. Family members are going to treat me differently. And I said, okay, who else? What did you hear growing up about money? What did you hear as a young adult? And that client said, well, that I was not good with money. They were a single parent raising their children. That I was not good with money. That's what my parents told me. I was not good with money. I did not know how to invest money, that I did not know how to get the right job or how to keep the right job. So all those beliefs came into play. But that feeling that they have of not welcoming money was actually blocking how much money they will make. It impacts the bottom line. And that's the stuff that I help people, why I educate people so much about it. Because we all make decisions emotionally. It may not make sense rationally. Actually, because rationally, that client said, I welcome as much money as possible. But emotionally, that as much as possible became smaller, smaller, and smaller.
Well, as much as possible also is not a number, so it's kind of hard to say.
Well, they did say a number. They did say a number. And for their first year of business, they said 250, but they had that sarcasm and chuckle and like, mm. And then when they said 300, that's when the tears came. I said, is it feasible, 300,000? And they said, yes. But do you want to do it? And their mind says yes. Rationally, they say yes. But emotionally, it's like a lot of beliefs comes in because of their main feeling. We all have a main feeling when it comes to money. We have a dominant feeling. And how I find the dominant feeling with people, I do this exercise with them. I ask people, do you rationally welcome $1 million in your bank account right now? Most people go, yes, hell yeah. They may even drop an F word. F yeah. I rationally welcome $1 million in my bank account. I said, okay. Now imagine you're walking in the desert. You're all by yourself. There's nobody around you. Suddenly, you find a black duffel bag at your feet. You open the duffel bag and you find $1 million in unmarked bills. What feeling came up for you? Most people, when they're honest with themselves, some people start crying when I do the exercise with them. They're like, I feel anxious. I feel worried. And I say, why? When you dipped into that feeling, a memory, a belief popped up. What was it? Some people said to me, well, the mafia movies. So I say to that client in particular, I said, well, for you to welcome $1 million in your bank account, you're either part of a cartel, it's either drug money, or you did something really wrong to have that amount of money in your bank account. Because your dominant feeling about it is anxiety, not that joy and appreciation and gratitude. And there are people I've done the exercise with, they cried too, but tears of gratitude. But
Okay,
those
so
are
I'm going to push
yeah,
back a little bit because
yeah.
here's the issue. The issue is, yeah, you're absolutely right that we all have money scripts that we live with. Well, what I'm not hearing here, I'm not hearing the word why come in. Why do you want to earn this much money? Well, how will that make your life different? How will that make your life better? If this was to happen, what will happen then? I'm not hearing any of that conversation going on.
Because in order to get that why they want the money, they need to feel it. They need to feel it. They need to connect with their purpose as to what they're going to do with that money. It's not a
That's a
rational
why.
answer.
That's a why question. Why do you want this money? How does it make your life different? How does it make your life better?
Most people, when I ask a why, I tend to stay away from why questions because
There's
why
lots of ways. I just asked why questions in 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah, because a why questions to me, when we say why as a child, why did you do that?
I just told you. I just asked you a bunch of why questions without using the word why. So that's not the issue. The issue is I'm not hearing us get to a why, and without a why, emotions are just a waste of time.
Our why is based in emotions.
Yes.
If we base our whys rationally, we won't be happy. It will never be enough. We won't be content.
That's why you ask, how will this make your life different? And how will this make your life better? What way will this make things different for your life? And you keep drilling down that till you get to a core reason. But without doing the why, I mean, this whole thing with emotion is great, but emotion without action is a waste of time. I can tell you that.
I agree because our life is based on the actions that we take. But in order to take different actions, we must feel our truth. Once we feel, and usually our truth is yucky. When we get to that deeper level as to, like you would say, why we do this and why and why and why, like you would say, then we get
Okay,
to the
so
point.
I'm gonna interrupt again. Our audience are blue collar business
Yeah,
owners, and what you just said, a blue collar business owner is going to throw up in their shoes about. So, how do you say that to a blue collar business owner to get them to listen?
I would start at the beginning.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning.
How do you feel about money? Generally, when you pay the bills, how do you feel? If you have the money to pay the bills, how do you feel? If you don't have the money to pay the bills, how do you feel? By asking that, people start isolating, you could say, that dominant feeling about money. Once they know that dominant feeling, then we can go one level deeper. Who taught you that? Where did it come from? We got to go at the bottom of things in order to change our money story. In order to make more money or to welcome more money into our life, we must know our history. We
I'm not convinced of that at all. I know lots of people who have made a lot of money and they had known nothing about their money story.
Well, that's you. We're all entitled to our
No,
opinion.
it's look,
I beg
like,
to differ.
you're saying I have to know my money story before I make a lot of money. That's just not true. There are
I
plenty of
would
people who
say
have made lots of money, have no idea what their money story is, nor are they really interested in what their money story is.
I beg to differ. I beg that most people, they do know their money story. They have a clarity. They understand what money means to them emotionally. I believe that. That's my belief.
Okay. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
That's okay too. That's okay too.
So, I'm still not clear. Okay, I know my money story, so what?
So you know your money story, then knowing how you feel about money and why, to use your word, why, where that money story comes from. Then if you understand how feedback loops, because you talked about behavioral economics. So if you understand how feedback loops work, first we get a thought. If we keep thinking about that thing, it generates an emotion. If we keep thinking that thought with that emotion, it generates a feeling. That's a dominant feeling. And our ego, our mind, validates that dominant feeling by dipping it into the pool of beliefs and memories that we have associated with that dominant feeling. So if we want to change our history, we must know, looking at that feedback loop, how it works. We must know how we think, what are our thoughts. We must know how we feel about those thoughts, so that next time we get triggered by money or anything else, we have a choice. We can either react or we can respond. We can choose to validate something else. So for me, this is why we must know our history in order to change something. Otherwise, it's like going through life blind.
Okay, so I know my history. What's that going to do for me? How does that make my life specifically better? And how would I take different actions?
Because you will start feeling differently. You will be aware. It's like, when we're triggered about something, we all have pet peeves. And to make it clear, like I had a client who had a pet peeve about people chewing. People who chewed loud. So many people have that pet peeve. They hear people chewing, yang, 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 and they go, no. But do they never understand where it comes from? So when I ask my clients, what does that pet peeve come from? Where did you first see it in your life? That client was 9 years old, and it was when her father and mother had separated, and there was a new man sitting in her father's chair. And that man chewed loudly. When that client realized that her pet peeve about chewing came from there, she stopped having that pet peeve with everybody. She understood where it came from. So it's very important to understand our history and to understand all of that so we can make different choices. It's all
Well,
about making
I know
different
lots of
choices.
things that would set me off when I was younger. and I know why they set me off. And guess what? Because I know it doesn't mean it doesn't set me off now.
I agree. But it's like, to me, it's like Rocky. You just get back up quicker because you know where it comes from. So you can position yourself. You have a choice. Once we're aware, we can choose. We can choose to redo the same crap all over again, and we can choose to do different. But we all have that moment, that split second, when we can position ourselves emotionally to decide what our action is going to be. And that action is going to impact the next action and the next action. That's how it works, to me, anyway.
Okay. I'm still trying to say, okay, I know my money story. How does that make me a better business person?
By knowing how you feel about money and why you feel that way, then you are more aware when it comes to your decision. It becomes you're more aware as to which decision to make. You will understand where your money beliefs come from. You will go to that bottom why. Like, why do I want to buy that piece of equipment? Why do I want that product or services at this time? And the people who have that emotional connection with their products and services, they tend to do a lot better financially than those who go through life thinking that, for example, that money is hard to earn or money doesn't grow on trees.
Okay, but that's not I mean, if I'm going to run a business and I want to first of all, making money in a business is not a purpose.
I agree. It's
It's
deeper
a,
than that.
it's a result. And to run a business effectively and well, you have to do things that create that result. And that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with my money story. It has a lot to do with how I feel about myself, how I feel about my employees, how much I trust my employees, how much I allow mistakes to be made, how much I'm willing to have a systematized, repeatable process in my business, how disciplined I want to be about running my sales operations. All of those are things that have to happen in a business for you to have a sale-ready company or become sustainable. And none of them have anything to do with my money script.
I disagree. We are the
Well,
common denominator.
tell me
We
how,
are the common.
tell me how hiring effectively has anything to do with my money script.
For example, let's say you want to hire somebody and you say, I'll pay them $75,000. You're just looking at, here are the criteria to hire that person. And whoever fills those criteria get the job. Many companies go like that.
Well, if they do, they're doing a terrible job of hiring.
But you asked me an example. But if they understand,
I'm asking you how a money script fits in with hiring the right person.
I am going to that.
Okay.
You, you need to let me talk too.
You've been talking most of the time.
Well, then you tell me, because you seem to know best.
I don't see where you're coming from. I think money scripts are fine. I think it's fine to understand it. I don't think it makes you a better business owner. I think that understanding which of the behavioral economics things get in my way, that's worthwhile understanding because those will keep you from taking the right actions. But a money script for who I'm going to hire has zero to do with that. I got news. I've hired hundreds of people in my life, and I've never had a money script running through when I've been going through a hiring process. I have a need in a company, and that's what I'm hiring for.
We are the common denominator with every experience that we have. Do you agree with that?
I don't know what that means.
If you look at every relationship in your life, every interaction, everything you've ever done, you are that common denominator with person A, with person B, it's you and person A, you and person B.
Yeah, but I don't get what that has to do with a money script.
If you don't know your money script, then you have a blind spot that you're taking into that relationship. So therefore, there will be a blind spot when it comes to hiring. To me, it's that simple.
Okay, well, I'm not convinced and don't think I'm going to be. So If somebody wanted to find you, how would they go about doing so?
They would find me at financialeq.coach. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, all of that. So I'm pretty much on social media.
Okay, cool. And if you would like to find more episodes, you can find them at www.sustainablebusiness.co. And while you're at it, why don't you go over to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast and give us an honest rating and review over there. I would really appreciate it. And it helps out our rankings, which you probably already know. And we have a free ebook, which we call the Sale Ready Company. And a sale ready company is for people who have a company that could be sold, even though they probably don't want to do so because they're having too much fun and making too much money. And to get it, it's really easy. You go to www.sustainablebusiness.co. That's .co, not .com /sale ready. That's www.sustainablebusiness.co /sale ready. And this is Josh Patrick. We're with Anne Beaulieu, and you're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.